Hi there. I'll be comparing 4 guitars today, 3 made in the 1980s in Japan and possibly Korea, 1 modern made guitar from Indonesia. I'll be comparing the Westone Spectrum ST guitar from 1986, Matsumoku factory. I'll be comparing that one with the Aria Pro The Cat, also from 1986, and with the Hondo H77, mid-late 80s. I'll be comparing these guitars with a modern day Yamaha Pacifica 311H, made in Indonesia, and I think those 4 guitars are actually pretty comparable. Actually, Japanese guitar building in the 1960s was quirky, generic guitars, but then in the 70s they started building much more competent imitations from Fenders and Gibsons, and by the time that the 80s had started, they had much more ambitious ideas about their guitars. They started working on using phase switches, using special bridges, coil splits, all that sort of fancy stuff that made the guitars much more typical. They were also working on different guitar body shapes that took a bit of a distance from the normal Fender Stratocaster or Gibson Les Paul shapes. Quality wise, most of those Japanese manufacturers had their stuff really together. All 3 of these 80s guitars feel extremely solid, well built, smooth, very good workmanship. Especially the Matsumoku factory was famed for that. Time to get into these guitars. I'll be playing through a Digitech Element and it's going straight into my DAW with a bit of reverb added, and that's about it. Starting out with the Hondo H77 today. There's some confusion whether this guitar was made in Japan or Korea. My guess is that this is a Korean one. And it's basically the most traditional of the 3 guitars. It's got a traditional HSS configuration in a lovely red sparkly color. Very nice. The tuners are sort of the standard stuff that was used in Japan at the time, but they hold tune pretty well. It's got a pretty good operational tremolo. It feels a bit clunky, but bridge is kind of the standard stuff that was used by Fender and Squier as well, but it's doing very well. The neck is quite smooth. It's got this sort of orange color, and it has aged pretty well for a guitar that's over 30 years old. Same goes for the pickups that are in here. They've yellowed quite a bit over the years. Rumor has it that these guitars had a DiMarzio pickup at the back. It's not indicated anywhere, but it definitely feels very thick and very dark in a nice kind of way. It's an excellent guitar, I guess, for rock music, but you can play the blues pretty well, including the neck pickup, which sounds really nice. I'll give you a few examples. This is the humbucker at the back. This is the neck pickup. This is the middle pickup. This is the bridge and the middle pickup together. And this is the neck pickup and the middle pickup together. Moving on to the Aria Pro The Cat. This is one heavy mother. It also has an HSS configuration, but this one has a coil split at the back, so you can basically use the humbucker as a single coil pickup. This guitar needed quite a bit of setup when I got it. And I also tweaked it a bit. I'm not too much of a fan of the out-of-phase sound, the traditional out-of-phase sound of a Stratocaster with the bridge pickup and the middle pickup together. So I rewired this one, and now if I put this in position 2, it actually is the humbucker and the neck pickup together, which I kind of prefer as a sound, but it's a personal thing. So you get this sort of thing. I also installed a phase switch here. This one has a one-piece maple neck, and it seems to have a graphite nut over here. It's very smooth feel. It has unbranded tuners, but they hold tune pretty well. It's got a kind of a typical bridge called an R-Tech bridge, which I've never seen anywhere else, but you know, it's quite nice. It's a lovely tremolo, very smooth. You've got much more tonal options with this guitar if you compare it to the Hondo. You can make it sound very bluesy and dark if you want to, with this sort of bluesy sort of mix. But you can also make it sound very thick with the humbucker at the back. This guitar also has a really lovely red sparkle, and you can see that Aria was distancing itself from the traditional Stratocaster kind of model of the days. From the serial number I'm concluding that this was made in 1986, and apparently Aria production switched from Japan to Korea in 1986. Some people say the Korean-made Arias have plywood bodies, but I doubt whether that's the case with this particular guitar, because it feels really solid and it also sustains really well. I'll be giving you a few examples. This is the humbucker. This is the humbucker in coil split, so it's basically a single coil. This is the neck pickup. And this is the middle pickup. This is the number 2 position, which basically is the bridge and the neck pickup combined. And this is the number 4 position, which basically is the neck and the middle pickup combined, which is much more traditional kind of sound. Coming to the next guitar, you can't help but notice the similarity in the body shape between this Westone Spectrum and the Aria Pro Cat. They were both made in the Matsumoku factory, and the body shape is actually pretty similar, pretty comparable. Otherwise though, this is a different guitar. The body is much lighter than the Aria. This guitar had quite a few dings on the body, but it plays very comfortable and very smooth. The neck is fine, the tuners hold tune very well. It's a sort of branded Westone tuners. Again, this one has a very typical bridge that I haven't really seen anywhere else. And the main special part about this guitar are the Magnaflux pickups that are being used. They are humbuckers, but they sound very different from most of the humbuckers that I know. Much lighter, much brighter, very transparent, but still quite thick sounding, and it has a great sustain. This guitar also has a coil split here. This is without coil split. This is when you're splitting the humbuckers or the back pickup. It's very bright sounding. It sounds almost like a Telecaster in a way. Especially if you play that sort of country twang kind of stuff. Judging from the serial number, this guitar was made in 1986 as well. I'll give you a few examples. This is the bridge pickup in humbucker mode. This is the neck pickup in humbucker mode. This is if you put the switch in middle position, so both humbuckers together. If you split the coils of both pickups, then you get this sound. This is the bridge pickup only in the coil split setting. And this is the neck pickup in coil split setting. And finally, this is the Yamaha Pacifica, which is basically a modern guitar made in Indonesia. You could call that the Japan of the 21st century in guitar making terms. This is a modern guitar, but the similarities with the 3 Japanese guitars that I mentioned before are actually greater than the differences. This one also has a graphite nut. It also has a very thick sounding humbucker, and it's also got some great workmanship when it comes to the frets, the neck, the body, everything. Difference obviously is that the P90, which is at the neck, is going to sound really different from any of those Japanese guitars. But still, you know, this is also a great guitar for rock and blues stuff. It has a great sustain as well. So, pretty comparable. If you press me really hard and you'd ask me which of those 4 guitars is my favorite, I'd probably end up with a Westone, but it would be a very tough choice. The Westone is a very typical guitar, which sounds really different from any of the other three. This guitar, the Pacifica, is also a great guitar for rock and stuff, and it's very solid, feels very comfortable. The Aria is pretty heavy to carry, but otherwise it's a great guitar as well. And the Hondo is a bit more of a traditional HSS Stratocaster style of guitar. If that's what you want, then it's going to be a good buy for you. Any of these guitars is a great buy. This one is new, around 300 euros. The three other guitars were about 100 euros each, second hand obviously. That obviously is a great deal if you're looking for a bargain in guitar terms. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be playing you one song to give you a few more tonal options of these guitars. Enjoy!